Hello, and welcome back to the Compassionate Curiosity Podcast, a space where we explore the messy, beautiful, challenging project of being human. I'm your host, Rachel, a wellness coach and a mindfulness guide at Tranquilopawellness. Here, we dive into the stories we carry about food, movement, our bodies, and self worth, sharing tools, reflections, and lived experience to support and inspire your journey forward, all guided by curiosity and grounded in compassion. And I'm so glad you are joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about something that commonly lives quietly in the background of our eating habits. Even if you've never called them this, chances are you've had them, and those are fear foods. And no, you don't need to have an eating disorder for this to matter. You don't have to have a diagnosis to have fear around food. Because the truth is, so many of us, maybe even most of us, carry some level of fear, guilt, or anxiety around certain foods. And we don't always realize it. So today I want to talk about what fear foods actually are, where this fear comes from, why it matters, and I'll offer two gentle, doable steps to start softening your relationship with them. And so before we dive in, I want to invite you, as always, to join me in a moment of stillness, physically, mentally, emotionally, to ground ourselves, to center ourselves again, to reduce the external noise and check in inward. So if you're safe and able to, I'd invite you to make yourself comfortable and gently close your eyes. And just start by taking a deep breath in through your nose and a long breath out through your nose. And take a few more breaths like this at your own rhythm, just noticing the flow of the breath, your chest rising as you breathe in and falling as you breathe out. Noticing any thoughts or mind chatter that may be going on. Bring some love and compassion to that and just let those be. They will pass just as they have arisen. And let's take one more deep breath in through the nose. And a long breath out through the nose. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes and coming back to this space. Thank you. Okay, so what are fear foods and why do we have them? Fear foods are foods that stir up anxiety, guilt, shame, or a feeling of losing control. They might be the foods that you avoid, the ones that you feel like you have to earn, the ones that live in your head way more than they live in your pantry. For some people, fear foods are sweets. For others, it might be carbs like bread or pasta. Maybe it's fast food or anything that isn't labeled clean or healthy. I know for me, I used to have a long list of fear foods, which were tied to the rules and restrictions of my eating disorder. Like, for example, sweets, anything that was made of white flour, definitely fast foods, any oils, peanut butter, which I now love. Needless to say, it was a very lengthy list, my friends. But that has shifted significantly thanks to a whole lot of awareness, unwiring, growing, and healing. And the thing is that these fears don't just appear out of nowhere. They come from messages we've absorbed, similar to what we talked about in the last episode around diet culture. So it could come from diet culture, from childhood, wellness influencers, or our own past experiences with food rules and restriction. We've been conditioned in that sense to be afraid of certain foods. And that conditioning is strong. But it's also something that we can question gently, slowly, and with compassion. So, okay. So why are we talking about this? Why do fear foods matter? Well, because this goes beyond just food. Fear foods often reflect our relationship with trust in our bodies, trust in our hunger, in our emotions, in our worthiness to eat without guilt. When certain foods carry fear, it affects more than just what we put on the plate. It shapes how we think about ourselves, how we relate to others, and how much energy we spend trying to get it right. So, let me give you an example of how fear foods can shape how we think about ourselves or how we relate to others. Let's say you're invited to a friend's birthday party. It's at a restaurant you didn't choose, and you know the menu includes things like pasta, bread, cake, maybe even a few foods that you've labeled as bad or off limits. Now, internally, there's this storm brewing. You're anxious before you even sit down. Maybe you tell yourself you'll just eat beforehand or skip dessert or look up the menu in advance to plan your safe choice. And if you do end up eating something on your fear food list, maybe a few bites of cake, you might leave the dinner feeling guilty, ashamed, or like you failed. That one moment can spiral into harsh self talk. Why did I eat that? I have no control. I'll have to make up for it tomorrow. Not only are you left feeling disconnected from your body, you also weren't fully present with your friend, right? You were in your head. You weren't soaking in the joy or the connection because part of you was busy managing fear. And over time, that kind of experience shapes your self perception. Maybe you see yourself as someone who's bad with food or not disciplined enough or someone who can't be trusted around certain things. And it starts to subtly affect how you relate to others too. Like you might pull away from social events involving food or feel envious of people who eat freely and seem unbothered. You might feel like food is something you have to secretly manage or justify. All of this from a single slice of cake. Not because the cake is harmful, but because of the meaning we've attached to it. And that's why this matters, because the more freedom we create around food, the more freedom we create to show up in our lives, in our relationships, and in our bodies with peace and presence. And while that's just one scenario, this kind of inner experience is so common, whether it shows up at a birthday party, in your kitchen, or quietly in your mind during lunch, right? Like you might find yourself overthinking every bite. Should I eat this? Have I earned this? What will this do to me? Or avoiding situations where food feels unsafe or out of your control, like going to a birthday party or out for a spontaneous dinner. Or you might find yourself swinging between strict rules and screw it moments, right? Eating in ways that feel chaotic or disconnected from your actual needs. And that is exhausting. Have you felt that? Like I absolutely have. It weighs on you mentally and emotionally. It's a heavy burden that many people, especially women, carry every day without even realizing it. And it can lead to shame spirals, social isolation, or even, a loss of joy in something that's meant to be nourishing and connecting. When food becomes a source of stress, we lose access to the things that actually support our well-being, like pleasure, presence, flexibility, body trust. Because at the root of it, food fear disconnects us from our body's wisdom. It teaches us to rely on external rules instead of internal cues. And that can erode our sense of safety, not just with food, but with ourselves. When we're constantly questioning our hunger, judging our cravings, or feeling like we can't be trusted around certain foods, it sends the message, my body is wrong and I can't trust myself. But it doesn't have to stay that way. I'm going to say that again. It does not have to stay that way. Healing your relationship with food, and especially, with fear foods, isn't just about expanding your menu, which is great, but it's more so about expanding your freedom. It's about reclaiming joy. It's about learning to listen to your body instead of trying to control it. And I promise you, peace is possible. Even if it's been years, even if it feels scary, you are allowed to feel safe with food again. And I never thought that I would ever reach that point. Like, I remember seeing people and knowing people in my life that seemed to be so comfortable and easygoing around food, and me thinking, how are they like that? That could never be me. But with a whole lot of inner work, patience, compassion, and support, I can now gratefully and humbly say that I know what peace with my body and with food feels like now. And it feels so damn good. It's the kind of peace that I didn't know I was allowed to have or could have. And I am still learning and growing and have moments, don't get me wrong, but I don't live in that fear anymore. And so if I can get there, you absolutely can too. So wherever you are on this journey of mending your relationship with your body or food, know that it's absolutely okay to be exactly where you are. This is a process and you are worthy of being in it. So trust that and remember that you're not alone in this. So now we're going to talk about 2 small steps that you can try to take if you're ready to explore your fear foods with more kindness and awareness. And this isn't about bulldozing through your fear or pushing yourself before you're ready. I want to make that clear. It's really about planting seeds of safety and coming back to a peaceful, trusting relationship with food on your timeline. So, step 1 is name and notice without judgment. Start by simply asking yourself, what are my fear foods? Is there a food you avoid even though you like it? Is there a food that brings up guilt when you eat it? And write them down and then say them out loud. This part is important. That alone is an act of reclaiming your power because you're speaking your truth. Fear foods often live in silence. They're hidden behind shame, avoidance, self-judgment. And so when you say them out loud, you bring to light that which has been covered in shame. You're acknowledging that these foods have emotional charge or moral judgment. And so by saying them out loud, you interrupt these internalized beliefs and build your awareness around them. It shows that you're willing to get honest about what still holds power over you. And in doing that, you're taking back your power. You're standing in what's true for you and reconnecting with your voice. You're saying, I see you, insert fear food name, and I'm willing to look at you. That simple act sends a strong message to yourself and to the universe that this is something you want to heal. And that is where change begins. So once you've identified and said out loud your fear foods, then gently ask yourself, where did this fear come from? Was it a comment someone made? A diet you tried? A belief you picked up about what's bad or too much? The key here is noticing, not fixing or acting on it, right? We're building awareness and meeting whatever comes up with compassion and curiosity. So, step 2 is facing the fear food gently and with support. So, if and when you feel ready, you can choose one of your fear foods, just one, and experiment with reintroducing it on your terms. So that might mean having a small portion at home in a calm setting. It might be enjoying it with someone you feel safe around. Or it could just be simply allowing it in your space without pressure to eat it yet. And I'd encourage you to pair this moment with grounding. Maybe, closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. Maybe placing your hand to your heart. Or using a phrase like, I'm allowed to nourish myself and I'm allowed to feel safe with food. Remember, this isn't about making yourself love the food. It's about showing your nervous system that you're safe and reconnecting with the part of you that knows nourishment doesn't have to come with conditions. And that safety and reconnection together create space for trust, for flexibility, and for peace. So you're not forcing anything. You're gently reminding your body it's okay now. So as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with this. Fear foods aren't the enemy, even though they can feel like it, I know. And you are not the enemy because the part of you that's afraid is trying to protect you, not sabotage you. You're responding in a very human way to a culture that's made food and bodies feel unsafe. And so this healing work isn't about doing it perfectly. It's about giving yourself permission to listen to your body, to trust your needs, and to question the old stories that may have protected you at one time, but that no longer support you. And maybe parts of this episode brought some things to the surface you didn't expect, a memory, a feeling, a sense of, oh, wow, that's me. All of that is okay. That means something inside you is listening. Your inner world is responding, recognizing something true for you. That's your body, your emotions, and your needs being felt, even if the how or why of them isn't totally clear yet. It might be a part of you that's been quietly holding fear, longing for relief, or asking for a softer, more gentle way. Whatever it is, it's showing up, not to overwhelm you, but to be noticed, to be seen, to be felt. And it's enough to just notice. You don't have to do anything drastic or act on it. You don't have to be ready to change everything overnight. Just keep noticing, keep being curious, keep bringing kindness to yourself. That's how healing happens. And I'm so glad you're here for it. So, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you found this episode helpful in some way, I'd encourage you to share it with someone who you think might also benefit from it. And if you're looking for more personalized support with making peace with food and your body, I have a few spots open for a free one-on-one body peace clarity session with me. This is a chance for us to explore, what's been keeping you stuck, start to identify what beliefs might be fueling body shame or food fear, and look into small supportive shifts to help you move toward more ease and trust in your body and in yourself. And I'll link below in the show notes how to schedule that with me if you're interested. And until next time, may you know that you are not alone. I am here with you. May you be guided by curiosity and grounded in compassion, sending you love, light, and gratitude today and always.